Are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
We're rolling? So welcome back to the 42284 podcast, coming to you live from downtown Sunfish, Kentucky in the She Shed Studios. Today we have Mr. Raymond Durbin, or Ray as we all know him. So you retired in 19...
I retired January 1st of 2000. I wanted to start the new century off. Retired.
January 1st. Oh, yeah, January, yeah.
Yeah, start the new century off. So
You've had a good retirement there.
Oh, yeah,
right?
a long time.
It's been a while.
I've been there 24, 25 years now, something like that. Yeah,
That's good.
On my 25th year,
Do you
I guess.
still,
yeah.
You know, my Uncle Johnny worked up there. Johnny Collins. Did you ever know him?
I don't think so.
He was from Beach Grove area down in Grayson County.
Yeah.
And he worked at the truck plant
right.
For years and years, and he loved it.
Well, see, I was out there at the truck plant, but you may know Frank Tom's up here.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I mean, he worked at the car plant.
I didn't know that. Did you know that, Brandon, that Frank had worked for Ford?
He retired.
I knew that he worked.
He retired from the car plant.
I always knew who Frank was, but I didn't really become friends with him until the last 10 or 15 years.
Another person over Siegel, Danny DeMumbrum, he retired from.
I didn't know that either.
He retired from Ford.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, he was a Ford man.
So backing up just a little bit, did your dad ever talk about being on the because that basketball team he was on was locally famous because they went so far. Did he ever talk about that?
He never talked about it, but I'd hear him and his friends talk about it.
So when Guy passed away and I took those pictures down to your mother, there's pictures of that ball team in there.
Right.
And she was telling me, this one's this one, this one's this one, and this one's short. Abe Ferris was on it.
Abe Ferris.
And this one's Shorty Wells.
Yep.
And I said, Wells is not a common name for. I mean, it's a Edmonson County name, but to be over in this part of the world. And she said, I think he's still alive. I said, well, how old would he be? She said, well, close to 90, but I think he's still alive. And so I did some research, and I found him in Baltimore, Maryland. And I called him one day, and I probably still got his number in my phone. Of course, I'm sure he's passed away, and that's been 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But I called him up. He answered the phone, and I talked to that man for probably 3 hours on the phone. And he told me, he said, you call me back anytime. He said, I don't have any. He said, I don't have any friends. Everybody's died.
Yeah, right.
And and so I made contact with him several times. Then he stopped answering the phone, and I never heard if he passed away. But it was neat to get to talk to somebody.
Yeah, right.
He told me all about it, but just like we're doing today,
well, see,
I didn't record it, and I don't remember what he said.
Daniel Logston was on that team.
Oh, right, yeah.
He was on that team too. Yeah.
Yeah. Dad always told me that Abe was the star of the team. Now, that may not be true.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
See,
that Abe was the star of the team. Yeah. And they went to the whatever. I thought Dad said state tournament, but I couldn't find records of them going that far. So
I think they went
I guess it was district or regional.
Regional, but they didn't make it to state.
So they said they rode the bus somewhere, wherever they were going to play this game. And that when they were getting off the bus, Abe stepped off the bus and stepped funny and broke his ankle. And they lost the next game. But he'd been the star that had kind of, he apparently was a good shooter. And I remember Abe as a kid coming in the store down there with, that's Chris Logston's grandfather. He would come in and talk about Beagles and basketball. And,
But
it was interesting.
See, there was I don't know if he's on the team or not, but he was a friend of theirs. He went to Sunfish School, Clancy York.
Now, I know that name.
Some way he went in the military, I think, and was a pilot. And, of course, I was probably 8, 9, 10 years old. We'd be out in the cornfield. There hoeing corn or something, and this plane would come flying over and circle a little bit. And
it was him.
And Dad said, that's Clancy. Yeah, he was out flying somewhere. He'd come just fly around and head on out.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so that's Clancy York. Yeah.
So I know you had a friend that didn't make it home from Vietnam.
Right.
That they I think it was one of the first roads they named in the county.
Right.
What was his name?
L.Z. Sanders Jr.
L.Z. Sanders Jr.
Yeah. L.Z. and I went to high school together with friends.
Well, he was from the other side of the county?
Over Cleveland.
Cleveland, okay.
Yeah. Over on, he's buried at Otter Gap Church, that Noah Bledsoe Road area. Over that's where he grew up. And just an old country boy, just a nicest guy you ever want to be around. So the day I got had to report to the draft board over there and get sent to Louisville for induction, I thought I'd be the only one. I thought I'd be going by myself. So I got over that morning that Elsie was there too. So we got on a bus together and rode to Louisville and got inducted and went down to Fort Knox and went through basic training together. And then when basic training was over, we went to different military installations for different...
Separated.
And I didn't know what happened to him. So then, but he went to Vietnam in April. I went about the 1st of November. So I get to Vietnam, and about 3 weeks after I was there, somebody, either the Malones or somebody, sent me the Evanston News. Somebody got me a subscription to the Evanston News. I get the Evanston News every week.
And they would send it to Vietnam?
Yeah, I'd get it. So anyway, so about 3 weeks after I was there, I picked up the Evanston News, and front page, Elsie Sanders Jr. is killed.
I mean, that's great.
That's how I found out that he had died.
Yeah.
So that's when I think about Vietnam, and that's the face that always comes to mind.
I knew
20 years old.
I knew that you had talked a lot when they were doing the road dedication and stuff.
20 years old, and I don't know how you explain that. I've had over the years instances where, you're having a bad day. Things just ain't going good at all. And so there's something about shared experiences or whatever. So then I still sometimes, you just get a sandwich and a lawn chair and a drink and go over and put a chair up in the Otter Gap Cemetery and sit there by his grave and talk to him.
Yeah.
Just pour it out.
That's counseling.
He's a good listener.
Yeah, that's counseling.
He's a good listener. So then, after I get my spiel out, you just sit there a little while, and I can hear him talking back to me. Now, Raymond, we both know what bad days are. Now, is this up there? Is this really a bad day?
Yeah,
and,
you have to put it into perspective, right?
Perspective. Get a little perspective on things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And matter of fact, the day Debbie died, John and Jackie had come down. They was at the hospital that night before. She was critical. So I said, Dad, why don't you go home and get a night's sleep? I went home, slept a little that night. Next morning, I went back to the hospital. I went by Otter Gap Cemetery. Looked at that headstone. Like I said, he was 20 years old. And me and him had a talk. And I said, Elsie, I don't know how this is going to go, but however it is, I can't be bitter. You didn't get to have none of it. I didn't know she was going to pass that day.
Right.
Then I went back down. When I went on down to the hospital after that, and then that's when they didn't have anything left. So that's when they started taking everything down.
Yeah.
She was gone.
Then.
She was gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And so anyway, but yeah, so I that's my go-to guy, more than my parents or anybody. If I've got an issue, I need to go talk to Elsie about it. Yeah.
Ray, there's probably people that you will be their guy when you get there. You don't realize that right now.
I've told people, I said, now I go over and see them little kids every day. Every day I can go over and hang out with them kids. Mm-hmm. I said, there would be no higher honor for me than if I'm laying there in that casket at the visitation and some kid walks up and said, I don't know where I'd be if it hadn't been for Mr. Durbin.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be where I am.
You are impacting those kids right now.
I try
at a young age.
I said.
So we got an off subject a while ago, but you were volunteering, right?
Right.
At South Edmondson still?
Yeah.
At what grade? What grade?
Their grades pre-K, which is 4-year-olds through 4th grade, 10-year-olds.
So you're doing the whole school.
Yeah.
It's not just one age group.
Well, I I like the cafeteria. Nobody wants the cafeteria. I like the cafeteria. That way I get to play with them and talk to them.
Right.
And brag on them and tell them how pretty they are. And then between breakfast and lunch, I go to the 1st grade classroom. And then I help that 1st grade teacher with reading and sight words and just, stuff like that. I help her in between lunch and breakfast. So they all get to read with me some. And I think they like and respect me. They want me to brag on them. So I don't care if they can read 10 words or if they can read like a high school kid. They're giving me the best that they've got. What I'm getting is the best they have.
Yeah.
Every kid gets a sticker. When they get done with me, they all get a sticker because that's the best they have.
Yeah.
And I brag on them, tell them how good they're doing, that kind of thing. Yeah. Right.
I'm 43 years old, and I have vivid memories of elementary school, don't you all? I mean, I remember Johnny Pete Vincent and Charles Alexander, and I remember how they treated me.
Right.
Sometimes I don't remember exactly what they said,
right.
But I remember them just like we told Kevin in here a few weeks ago. I remember that coach. I mean, there was love coming from him, right? I mean, that you felt it.
Sure. Right.
And,
right.
So you're definitely impacting those.
And when I'm in that cafeteria, I wear this apron. Every pocket's full of puppets and toys, and it's all full of stuff to interact with them kids with.
Yeah.
And so I'm pulling stuff out, or they want to hear the screaming goat, or they want to hear whatever. And I mean, I've got it in my apron there. Pull that stuff out.
That's good stuff there.
Play with them. Yeah. They want to know what I got in my pockets that day.
We are thankful that you have found a positive way to interact.
Yeah. But going back to elementary school, I have to tell you this story. Of course, I was over there when the nuns were there.
That's St. John's, yeah.
These nuns came down from Milwaukee every school year. Comet, Milwaukee, they came down here.
So they just came down for like a week or two, or it was the nuns that were housed?
The nuns from the convent in Milwaukee came down here and spent the whole school year.
Okay.
The convent was upstairs down there, and the classrooms were downstairs. Cafeteria's in the basement. They came down, so, and I always liked school. So then when I got in the 5th grade, about halfway through the 5th grade, I was having a horrible time. I was having a bad time. And so probably from Christmas on, I had to stay in every recess, every lunch break. I'd have to sit in the classroom. I just wouldn't do my work.
Just orneriness?
I wouldn't do it. I don't know why I wouldn't do it, but I wouldn't do it. And so she kept me back that year. So the next year, a different teacher came down. Sister Camillus came. And so when she came in that room, treated everybody the same. Even me and Roy French, which was Red French's, he was the bully. She let us go out and dust the erasers and whatever, And so I just loved her. So after she was there about 3 weeks, of course, Catholic school, she called me up to her desk and said, I was devastated because I was a year behind my classmates. I was a year behind.
Because you had refused to do the work.
Right. And so she called me up to her desk and she said, Raymond, tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put you back up with your group, and if you can do the work, I'll leave you there. And she did. I didn't have a bit of trouble with the work.
Right.
I mean, I could do it. I could have done it last year or whatever. I just wouldn't do it. So over the years, as I'm kind of moving along and being whatever, every once in a while you stop and kind of assess where you are and how you got there. You think back, like you said, teachers and whatever. Mm-hmm. And so she'd always be at the top of the list, Sister Camillus. Hadn't been for her, I don't know what had happened to me, but I was a failure until she came. So after about 40 years, I thought, I wonder if she's still alive. I need to talk to her.
You say you were about 40?
After I'd been out, it's about 40 years later.
Oh, out of school for 40 years. Okay.
Yeah. So I just sat down and wrote a letter to the convent, to her. And about 2 weeks later, I could hear the screams from the mailbox. Imagine, she's 85 years old.
Yeah.
Still living up there.
In Milwaukee?
Yeah, she was in the convent in Milwaukee. There. 85 years old. And so she was tickled to death to hear from a student from way back in probably 1955 or whatever.
Did you tell her a little grace that she gave?
Huh?
Did you tell her that the grace that she gave you kind of got you going back in life?
Oh, I told her.
Yeah.
I mean, I told her many times. See, after I heard from her, then we corresponded a little bit. I said, I'm coming to see you. Me and Debbie went up to the convent several times.
Really?
To see her, visit her. And this is probably a homecoming, and down at St. John's homecoming. Well, I go up there, see, to visit her, and there's 3 or 4 other nuns, old nuns, had been at St. John's. Well, how's Peggy doing? What happened to Roy? What happened to? They want to know what happened to all these kids that they taught. And so Sister Camilla, she'd get a little irritated with him. Like, he came to see me.
She was jealous.
He come to see me. She would get a little irritated with him because. So I went to the Mother Superior. I said, look, if I can arrange airfare and whatever, all the transportation, places to stay, will you let them 4 nuns come to St. John's? I was on the cemetery fund at that time. So she said, yeah, if you can get them there and you can get them host homes, that kind of thing, I'll let them go. So I wrote the cemetery letter that year. I put in there that they wanted to come, and I wanted maybe some monetary stuff to help. Got enough money to fly them to Louisville. I rented a big van, went up there and picked them up. It's here for a week. It's here for homecoming that year. And I told her, I said...
what year was that? Do you remember?
Gosh. I don't remember what year it was. I could go back and pull the letters out, I guess. I probably still got the letter from
No,
that.
that's okay. I just thought maybe...
But yeah. Anyway...
did they have a big time?
Oh, I had a great time. Oh, yeah.
Did people come to homecoming to see them?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Oh, that's a big draw that year.
Right.
They wanted to see them. And then, of course, they got to see who was here and visit with old timers and stuff like that. Yeah, right. And anyway, so yeah, and I continued to go see her till she died at 93 years old.
What year was that? Do you?
I'd have to go back and look. So yeah, we'd go up there.
That's good.
Yeah, go up there and visit her.
Lindsay, my wife, sitting over there in the green room.
Yeah.
She has her best friend just recently got employed at Mount St. Joe in West Louisville, outside Owensboro.
Okay.
And this lady's non-Catholic.
Yeah.
And so it's been a learning curve for her because the nuns are kind of strict and set in their ways.
Right.
But I think she's really enjoying just visiting with them and being around that.
Yeah. But on that same note, I told Sister, of course, she stayed with me there where I'm at now, and I said, I don't know where I'd be if it hadn't been for you, but I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here.
Yeah. I
said, you was responsible for this in a lot of ways. Like that, yeah.
I think a lot of us have those people in our lives, right?
Another one.
Some people make small adjustments, and some people make huge impacts.
Another one here at the high school at Evans County High School was a lot of people had different feelings. Mr. Alvin Barbie.
Oh, yeah.
He was my man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was my man.
What did he teach for you?
Agriculture.
I knew he was an agriculture teacher later in life.
Had him 4 years.
Okay.
Agriculture, 4 years. And, of course, like I said, family of 11, you're supposed to have a project every year. This is my project. That's,
Were you a member of the FFA?
Oh, yes.
Elena, my stepdaughter there, she's the vice president of the FFA this year.
I was the reporter for the FFA.
Really?
I was a reporter over
Okay.
there. Yeah, I was a reporter. Had him 4 years, and then so I learned a lot from him, not out of the classroom, just
as a person,
who he was. Yeah, just who he was. one of his favorite sayings was, "There's always too many chiefs, not enough Indians."
Yeah. Yeah, we may have heard that a time or two, haven't we, Brandon?
I can relate.
And he just wanted to be one of the Indians.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be a superintendent. He didn't want to be principal. He just wanted to teach in the classroom and be with the students.
So Mr. Barbee when he was teaching agriculture.
Yeah.
Agriculture was
it was agriculture.
It was agriculture.
Yeah.
It was a income for a lot of people in this area.
Right.
It was survival for a lot of people.
It was a way of life.
Yeah,
Exactly
it was a way of life.
Exactly right.
Now it's not so much,
It
right?
wasn't. Well, I think now it's more horticulture. I think
Now it's a hobby.
Yeah, it's more horticulture and
Yeah.
maybe. But yeah, but he was. He told me, he said, I think he had to retire because the paperwork got to be, it got to be in testing and this and that stuff that he didn't want. He just wanted to teach.
He just wanted to teach you how
all
to do
the
it. Hands-on.
state regulated stuff. And he said, I cried every day for a year after I had to retire, so I couldn't go be with those kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people farm today, like, I'm not going to call any names out, but I'll point back here behind me. They farm just to pay the light bill for their gold bar room. I mean, it's...
Yeah. I'll tell you about Mr. Barbee now. I went back and got him.
Sorry, Kyle.
I went and got him many times. We'd go have lunch.
Yeah.
Talk, visit.
It's good to have friends like that.
Yeah, we just go and just sit and talk and visit.
Yeah.
Miss Barbee. And he was a deacon over, I think, at Cedar Springs somewhere. Deacon of that church over there.
Really?
So when he passed, he wanted this old little Catholic boy to be one of his pallbearers.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
I was one of the pallbearers at his funeral. Yeah, Mr. Barbee. Yeah, he was just a caring person, just a good guy. What he was. Yeah. I may not have anything. Some of the kids that had, they not have a big elaborate project, something like that. I was just in the pickle patch, but it was mom and dad's pickle patch, and the money had to go to feed the family. It wasn't, it wasn't for. Of course, we had beans, potatoes, and cornbread. 2 meals a day, just about every day.
Really?
Yeah. Mom picks a big pot of beans and potatoes at lunchtime, and then at supper we'd have the same thing. Yeah.
What if you walked into the kitchen? What meal? Now this I'm gonna say before you went off to Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
If you walked into your mother's kitchen, what meal would she have that would be a treat? What would there be hamburgers or
probably fried chicken?
Fried chicken.
Yeah.
That would be
sometimes
a
on
treat
Sunday.
for you. Yeah.
Sometimes on Sunday we'd have fried chicken, and you better get your piece on the first time around. And it was fresh fried chicken. We went out in the yard and killed the chicken.
Right
before we had lunch.
So Lindsay's dad is
right.
one of of what, 13, Lindsay?
Yeah.
14.
Okay, yeah, right.
And I don't remember who it was said that he went to one of their friends went to their house, or maybe one of the girls' boyfriends,
right?
And said as soon as amen was said, you better be quick on the draw. You may pull back
It's
a
like,
nub.
I don't know if you ever heard of old Jerry Clower or not.
Oh, of course, of course.
He went to the Ledbetters for supper one night, and they had chicken.
Lights went out.
Yeah, lights went out. He reached with his hand. Uncle Versi reached with his hand and said he heard her off a scream. I said, light that light. So anyway, said Uncle Versi had the piece of chicken in his hand, but he had four forks stuck in the back of it. Yeah.
Well, we definitely can't let you leave without talking about a mutual friend we had. So Jim Jennings. Now he was a good one.
Good, absolutely fine
Jim's
guy.
a great guy.
Good as you ever find.
Yeah.
Jimmy Jennings was as good a man as you ever
yes,
be around.
Sir.
I
sure was.
A funny one about Jim. I was talking about the co-op letting us use the buckets to help fix church steeples and stuff. And, the steeple, about half a dozen shingles blew off of it. I told Jim, he said, "Can you fix that?" And I said, "Yeah," because he was like the maintenance man at the church.
Right.
And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'll bring it." I said, "We got a 100-foot bucket. I'll bring it down. We'll go up and put that on." He looked at me and said, you know what? So we ain't getting in that bucket truck. You are. I said, "Jim, I'll be honest with you. I've never put a shingle on in my life." I've done everything else, and my dad roofed houses, but it was always too dangerous. Just stay back, just like the propane. I don't know anything about propane.
Right. Yeah.
And he said, "There ain't no way." I said, "Jim, come on," and he never would. But I'm telling you what, if he got in that bucket truck, I had it in my mind that I was gonna give him a ride, and he knew I was going to.
So of course he helped me on the farm a bunch.
Oh yeah, Jimmy he was a good guy all around.
Yeah. And he was raking hay up on Huff Ridge. We had some hay up there, and him and Dad's up there, middle of nowhere. And he shears the bolt off in the drive wheel on New Holland rake. Hub about runs the wheel off. It's him and Dad up there by themselves. So Dad says, "You hold that spring-loaded dog, and I'm going to kick this tire and wheel and get it started up on there, and then we'll get it on up on there." And normally when them rakes sitting on the ground, you're going to kick 5-6 times before you can get it scooped. Right. Of course, there Jim is. He's got the crippling arthritis. His hands are all drawed up. Poor old thumb holding that spring-loaded dog, and the first kick, that hub goes all the way on, and his thumb's in there.
Oh!
Dad said I didn't know how I was going to get it back to get his thumb out.
It's stuck.
It's stuck. Yeah, it's stuck on. I mean, there's no
stuck
clearance
on there. Yeah.
So Dad pulls it, and Jim gets his thumb out. And Dad said, "Let me see it." Jim said, "You've already done enough." So that was a good one.
Yeah, old Jim. I helped him. He boxed that breezeway in for me. Made that. Like that sunroom.
I forgot that was a breezeway.
Jim done that, and then that back patio back there.
He was an excellent carpenter.
Oh, he was
carpenter, electrician, plumber, any of that stuff. He was my go-to.
Yeah, he could do it all. Jim could.
He was my go-to.
He done all that.
I got tickled. He'd talk about those heifers. I said, "What?" He said, "Heifers." I said, "What is that?"
Which Jim was from Virginia.
What is that, Jim? He said, "A female cow."
And Jim wasn't his real name.
What was it?
You don't know his real name?
Swanson.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Swanson Claudia Jennings.
And they couldn't spell it, so they just called him.
He'd be up there around
really
Debbie, or I guess about anywhere. One of his byword was sugar.
Sugar.
Sugar. Growing up, like I said, we milked early, the cows early in the morning. So down there where Steve lives now, Aunt Gertie lived down there in that house.
Was she a Key?
Yeah. No, she was married to a Key.
She was married to a Key, right?
Well, actually Walton's uncle.
Okay.
Yeah, Andy Key was his name, and he was Walton's uncle.
I had a lady call me from BGMU one time. Somebody was putting in a job application.
Yeah.
They had listed me as a reference, and she called me. She said, "Are you a Durbin from Sunfish?" And I said, "Yes." Mm-hmm. And her grandparents had lived there.
Oh, okay.
Now, I don't remember this girl's name, but I think that was her grandparents.
Probably was. Yeah. And Gertie lived there where Steve's at. Of course, she was a character. Anyway, so her husband passed away. And we're living down there where Dennis is at. Because that's Dad's sister, And so she was grieving bad. So we'd hear her up there wailing and stuff, And so Dad wanted me and Steve to go up there and spend the night with her. Take turns. I go one night, Steve go one night.
Just be with her.
Just be with her. Spend the night with her. And so she'd get out there on that front porch swing out there, and she'd tell these stories in detail. I mean, she'd tell. And she talked about these Black Panthers. Black Panthers around.
Right.
Of course, when she'd go out on the farm there, she'd have that pistol strapped on her in case she saw a Black Panther. She'd sit out there and tell us how they'd scream just like a woman. Oh, just scream, So, man, Steve, I'd have to get up in the morning, leave her house, and walk through that little woods down through there between, on the road.
Right.
Between Dennis and her house there.
Which is 100 yards?
Yeah. Walk through that. Boy, you think, Black Panther up there.
You just knew you were had, didn't you?
Then we'd go down to the house and have to walk way over in the back 40 to get the cows. Mm-hmm. Bring them to the barn. You got to put another woods out there. Go through that woods. So she had me tore all to pieces.
Probably get to hearing stuff behind you and everything else.
Oh, yeah. And I went fishing one night. I'll tell you about I went fishing down on the creek one night, come back, and went down the road there, and I did hear something behind me. But what it was my echo. The echo of my shoes. I could hear it. Sounded like somebody was...
Did you turn into a track star that night?
I was on the move, yeah. But the faster I got, the faster the other person got too.
Keeping pace.
Right. Yeah. Anyway,
well, we've been at it for a while.
Yeah. Yep.
We greatly appreciate you.
Well,
I'll be honest with you. When I first called you the other night, I thought, I don't know if he's going to do this.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know exactly what to expect. See.
Well, I thought, I don't know if I'm able to talk him into it.
Well,
I'm like,
hopefully I got you geared up where you can listen to the complete.
Yeah, see, I could get them, but I couldn't get all of them. I could just get a little piece. So I had the podcast thing. I already had
He had the app already
on my phone. Okay. So then I could bring it up. I could just get a little tiny clip of it. I couldn't get the whole thing. So Brandon showed me how to get the whole thing up there.
Okay.
Different.
But we appreciate you doing this. I mean, it meant a lot to me when you agreed.
Well, sure. I mean,
you've been a part of my childhood and my adult life, and I mean, Debbie especially. I thought a lot of Debbie and your whole family.
Everybody did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody.
Yeah. That's not. She's not somebody anybody who has.
I said with Debbie, when she passed, I had no idea that she impacted that many people.
Yeah.
I said that church was as full as I've ever seen it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I came to the funeral home, and the funeral home, I remember waiting over there.
Oh yeah, and, church was as full as I've ever seen it down there. Yeah, she impacted a lot of people. Everybody liked her.
Yeah, I agree.
She's a good one.
Also, want to thank you and your family. Before we got this started, I was talking to you about the cemetery, and you said you were kind of out of the house before your mom really started taking care of it. But you were on the cemetery board later in life.
Yeah, I followed Martha.
Yeah,
Martha had it for a while.
Martha, and then you, and then Paula had it, I think, and she's on now.
See, I was on it. I think Joe took it after me.
Yeah, he's still kind of him and Paula. I think are
Joe
doing it.
and probably Mary Lou.
Mary Lou. Okay.
Paula might have got off of it, and
that's a big undertaking.
I think
right?
Tom Pullman might have took Paula's place.
Okay, I mean people think that it's
right.
just grass to mow, but there's a lot to it. And we appreciate you all.
There is.
Your mother kind of took it under her wing
right.
to make it what it is,
right.
And you all kind of carried the tradition along, and we appreciate it. I think we've donated, and I think some of my families donated, and anybody listening that needs to.
Sure.
Donate and write a little something off. St. John's Cemetery Fund.
Right.
Is a good place to do it because there are multiple generations of family.
Yes.
I've got 5 or 6 generations of family buried in that cemetery.
Oh yeah.
That's where I tell Lindsay all the time. I don't really care, what you do as long as you bury me at St. John's. It's important. And I want to be buried in the back corner. I want to be cremated, and I want to be buried in the back corner. So when people come get me, they have to walk through the whole cemetery and say, "Hey, look, there's Ray. I remember him." And there's Guy. I remember him. And then pick the old flowers up that the lawnmower. I want them to pick up while they're there. But that's my plan.
Yeah.
And she's kind of laughed at that, but I'm serious.
Yeah. See, Guy and Geneva don't have nobody.
Right.
So my kids and we usually get Debbie flowers several times a year. So, and the old ones still look pretty good. So we take them off of hers and put them on Guy and Geneva's.
I'm going to tell you a funny Guy Durbin story that I've told several people. Mm-hmm. But the first time he was in the nursing home, we're out in the hallway. Have I told you this, Brandon?
I don't know.
But we're sitting out in the hallway, and he's sitting there. Of course, Guy weighed 110 pounds, dripping wet, and he was 87 or 8 at the first time he went in. Mm-hmm. And this lady walks past. And as she gets right in front of us, he reaches up and pinches her butt. Of course, now Geneva had been gone for a while, right, at this point. And I'm like, did he just do that? And she turned around and said, "Now, Mr. Durbin, I have told you you cannot do that." He said, "Oh, okay." She walked on past. He elbowed me and said, "Hey, kid, when you get my age, you can just do that and they think you're crazy." I about fell out of the chair. It's one of those moments in life that's just hilarious, Yeah. But he was a mess.
See, Debbie thought a lot of Geneva. She'd go over and visit Geneva.
Yeah.
And,
I've never had a lot of interactions with Geneva.
Well,
she was in the nursing home for years, wasn't she?
Some way her and Debbie got connected some way. But she said I'd go over there and Guy couldn't hear a thing. Yeah. And Geneva could just talk barely above a whisper. So she said they'd be sitting there in a room and neither one of them could understand what the other one was saying. Said sometimes they'd just be staring at each other.
Yeah.
But she said, but they knew what each other was saying. They'd been married 65 years, something like that.
Yeah,
long time. Yeah. So she said they could understand each other.
John A. died in '99, and when he passed away, he was the driver for me as a teenager to go to church.
Yeah.
You know, you need to go to church. Let's go. I'll come. You know, he'd come get me. Didn't matter where I was. He'd come get me, take me to church.
Right.
And so when he passed away, I got away from the church.
Right.
And so I was out for 10 years.
Right.
And I started going back. And the first time I went back, I went in there and I was running late. Mass had already started. And I go in and I go over to the right and go down the outside aisle, and nobody was sitting with Guy. And so I slide in and slide all the way across the pew, and he doesn't see me. And I kind of slide into him and bump him on purpose. And he turned around, like you said, he was deaf, right? And in the quiet church, he turned around and said, "Where in the Hell have you been?" Loud. Called me out right in the middle of church. And I said, "Shh, I'll tell you, we'll talk about it later."
Yeah, I've heard him talk in church.
Yeah.
He didn't realize he was talking that loud, but he'd be pretty loud with it. Stuff
Well,
like that.
we appreciate
All right,
it, Ray.
sure,
Thanks for your
that's just good.
service.
Yeah,
We try to thank people. I know you're involved with the veterans pretty heavily.
Yep, I am.
I still have a poppy that you gave me one time. I've got it. It's in my drawer in our bedroom. I saw it the other day. I opened it up and it was laying there, and you gave it to me. I've always kept it. So.
I work with them. We try to do good stuff in the community.
That's another place to donate if you have
we do
a need to donate.
Good stuff in the community. Try to.
So, thanks for your service, then.
Sure,
thanks
absolutely.
for your
thanks
for working with the kids these days.
Thank y'all for having me. And like I said, I've had a it's been a good life.
Yeah, that's good.
Good life.
Well, you still got quite a bit to go too. So
well, I hope. I mean,
don't forget us.
I tell you what, I keep moving. I get up every day. Never have a pain. Don't hurt nowhere.
That's good.
Don't have no arthritis. Nothing.
That's good.
But I have had Agent Orange cancer twice.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't Colin say he was suffering from that a little bit? I think when he was in here. So
yeah.
Y'all still over in Henderson or something like that?
We're outside of Madisonville and Dixon.
Okay.
Dixon, Kentucky.
Madisonville.
Yeah. So we're south of Henderson. If you Google Lowe's from my driveway, it's exactly almost to the mile the same to the Madisonville Lowe's or the Henderson Lowe's. But we live in Webster County, which is about the same as Edmonson County, same demographics and stuff. We do have McDonald's.
Whatever.
I tell people, they're like, "I can't believe you drive all the way down here from there." And I said, "I know a guy," and I do. I said, "I know a guy named Ray Durbin that drove from his house to Louisville every day for years to work at Ford, and there's really no difference in the drive as far as distance."
I'll tell you what happened. What that was too. I'd be there, and the guy lives 5 miles away. He said, I couldn't make it in. Snow days. I couldn't make it.
Yeah.
I said, well, if Durbin was here, everybody could be here. Yeah. But I'd go. I mean, Debbie said, "You're not going to go in." I said, "Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to drive to the bottom of the hill. If it's okay, then I'm going to try to head to Litchfield. And if it's okay, I'll get on the parkway and head on in." So you just keep on going.
Yeah.
Just go. Yeah.
There's a different work ethic back your generation than it is
I'd go
today,
and
so.
I said, just get out there and go with it.
Ray, we appreciate it. We want to give a little shout out to Hayes Farmhouse Designs. That's Brandon's wife. She made the T-shirt that you got for coming in. And if you see anybody that needs any sign work or T-shirts or stuff like that, she is the person. Hayes Farmhouse Designs on Etsy and Facebook. Kyle, you're going to have to get back on the couch next week.
Thanks everybody for listening.